3 behaviors that make you look dangerous. The world mistakes danger for noise. They think it's in loud voices, flexed fists, and explosive emotion. But those of us who've walked the harder path, we know better. True danger isn't in the storm. It's in the man who survives it and says nothing. There are 3 behaviors that instantly set you apart. Not as a threat, but as something far more powerful. A mystery wrapped in discipline. 1, the ability to stay calm when others expect you to break. There's something terrifying about a man who won't react. Not because he's weak, but because he's watching, because he's calculating, because he's already trained himself in a war no one else saw. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor, a warrior and a philosopher, once wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." That's the core of it. We do not allow chaos to infect our minds. We observe it, we hold it in our grip, and we decide how we will move. People expect outrage, they expect panic, anger breakdown, but when you remain still, when your eyes stay clear and your voice remains calm, you unsettle the very foundation of those who've never mastered themselves. They sense it that you are not moved by threat, temptation, or approval, that you've stood face to face with fear and didn't blink. That is dangerous, because a man who controls his emotions cannot be manipulated, and a man who cannot be manipulated cannot be owned. 2, the power to walk away without explanation. This world runs on desperation. Desperation to belong, to be seen, to be wanted. But there is something different about the man who can simply leave. Not out of spite, not out of pride, but because his peace is more valuable than his presence. Seneca taught he is most powerful who has power over himself, and that includes the power to walk away from drama, from disrespect, from anything that fractures his focus. You don't need to argue. You don't need to prove your worth. You don't even need to say a word. Your silence is enough. We know this strength because we've trained for it. We've learned to be content with solitude. We've endured the burn of isolation to become immune to its sting. So when the time comes to leave what no longer serves us, we do it with stillness, not because we don't feel the pain, but because we no longer fear it. And that's what makes it powerful. You become the man no one can guilt, beg, or bait into staying. You don't slam the door. You simply disappear, and in doing so, you leave behind a presence that echoes louder than words. 3, unapologetic purpose without the need for attention. There's a quiet intensity in those who move with purpose. Not to impress, not to be seen, but simply because their life demands it. They don't chase applause. They don't decorate their mission with noise. They rise, they execute. They disappear day after day, without asking permission, without seeking permission. As Cleanthes once said, "Lead me, O Zeus, and thou, O destiny, I follow." Without hesitation to live like this, to walk forward with direction, but no desire for recognition. That is true danger. Why? Because when a man works in silence, no one sees him coming. He builds in the dark. He suffers in private. He sharpens himself when the world sleeps. And by the time they notice him, it's already too late. We've seen the difference. The man who needs eyes on him to move, he's a performer. He dies when the spotlight fades. But the man who doesn't care who's watching, he's real, and real is rare. Real is unsettling. Real doesn't need permission to take up space. When your life is LED by quiet purpose, and your every step is guided by an internal code, not trends, not opinions, not applause, you become untouchable. Because the man with nothing to prove has already won. These 2 behaviors, calm under pressure and detachment from validation, are not weapons you pick up. They are forged through fire, through solitude, through the daily discipline of choosing stillness over chaos, and mastery over impulse. You don't learn this by reading. You learn it by bleeding, by holding the line, when your mind screams to run by, watching your ego die and refusing to resurrect it. And in that silence, you become something the world doesn't know how to name.